Hey, welcome to What's Hot in Florida. I'm Mike Sofka from both mics. I'm here with Dustin Lavine. He is the executive director of the Melon Theater in Leesburg, Florida. Dustin, how are you?
It's good. I'm good. It sounds fancy when you say it that way. You know, normally it's just the guy that's begging for money most of the time.
Well, you guys have been around forever, 70 years. Is that right?
70 years is the theater. The physical location has been about 66 years. We actually did the old Lee School before that. They used the auditorium there, and then a bunch of over-enthusiastic theater goers actually got the city to help them build this property here, which is actually a historical property. And next thing you know, there was this really old-looking building here that needs new roof. And
Nice. Now, you've been in theater for a long time yourself, right? This isn't something that just happened overnight. You just don't become executive director of a theater like that overnight, right?
Well, in some cases, actually, there's a funny story about that. I'll go back to it later. But I started when I was 2.5 years old. I started as a dancer. My mother put me into dance classes because my whatever you call it, nursery or whatever I was doing, they would go and do these dance classes once a week. And 2.5 was too young normally, but they let me in because I had a propensity for it. I did walk into walls, and that was half the reason they wanted to get me to actually find some coordination and dance. And I did that until I was 14, and then I did my first show. And since then, I've been on and off in theater. Did
Awesome.
college for a little bit, studied it for a bit, and took a break, did history, because I thought, well, I'll get my master's in history. That's going to be a good idea. Not so much. But I came back to theater. That's what you do.
Well, good. Now, this is a good way for you to give back, I know, but tell me about what's coming up, how Melon Patch is kind of giving back to the community. Kind of let me in on what that interaction is with the community.
Well, the first step is we are a nonprofit organization, which a lot of people don't realize. Nothing that we have here goes into anybody's pockets other than paying those that are here, such as me, who's a full-time employee. I'm the only full-time employee. The only people that get paid at the Melon Patch are musical directors when we do musicals, which we can't right now, obviously. You can't have that huge performance at the moment, and choreographers. But other than that, every actor, everybody else that's involved here is a volunteer basis. Our board of directors, people that act, people that do tech, all of that is volunteer. So our first commitment to the community is providing art, something that people can see, that's people they know on stage, that artistic merit, that moment of, hey, you know, I'm not just watching a movie, I'm actually getting to see these people do a live performance where they're in the moment. So that's the first thing we offer. Second thing we've done is, and something I've tried to push as we've grown, is let's find other outlets. For instance, the Center for the Arts, a really big player in the downtown Leesburg area. We've partnered with them a lot on helping. For instance, we do an annual haunted house that sadly got canceled this last October. But normally we do that and we share some of the profits with them. We also try to find other avenues of things we can donate to and take when there is excess money, something we can give back to the community, if it's the homeless or veterans, or for instance, like right now, this show that we're doing, it's only a play. We've decided that we will offer any first responders, teachers, active military, student discount, which is $10 compared to the $20, because those guys are actually out there doing more than most of us have ever done. So we try to find ways to provide entertainment and things for these groups. Further, we actually have a youth program, which is free of charge. We do it once a month right now. It used to be a little bit more regular, but we do once a month. And this is, for instance, I think the next one is Acting 101 with one of the most talented women I know who I've been on stage with and share the stage with her. So we try to give back to the youth, because bottom line is my old self here is eventually going to have to get off the stage, and we need to find those younger generations. And we do feel that there is a need in the community, because high schools have cut a lot of programs, and you have funding issues. You need something to get those kids back. And the arts, to me, is something that builds not only the ability to do mathematics and science and all that, it gives you a creative process So we try to fill that gap as much as we can. And there are some other theaters that do it for pay, but we'd rather just give it to the kids and let them come in and do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And, you know, I went back and I was looking through some of the history of the Melon Patch Theater, and it didn't dawn on me that it was 70 years old until I actually saw that. But I'm looking, and we're not talking about these are plays and things that you've written. I mean, we're talking about some big name, you know, Broadway type shows that you guys are doing on a local level here. And Rumors, Clue, a Sherlock Holmes mystery, Disney's Little Mermaid, Noises Off, Footloose, Into the Woods, The Wedding Singer, A Christmas Carol, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, The King and I, The Music Man.
You've done some research there.
The Sound of Music, Sweeney Todd. I mean,
what's funny is you say that though, but this next season, because we're trying to look at our budgets and our costs, we are actually bringing some local playwrights onto the stage as well, mixed in with the Neil Simons and the big name playwrights.
That's awesome. That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, starting next September, the board just approved, and now this is a sneak preview for your audience because this has not been announced officially at the Melon Patch. But we have Tom Klein, he's written a few plays actually. Some of them have been produced. This one has not. It's called Overdue Bills. It's set in the 80s, kind of done like you almost think The Wonder Years was done. It's a narrator that goes back into his memory and discusses when he was grounded for not returning his library books. And then it's a whole summer that he's grounded, and it's kind of this family getting through some of the hard times in life. The same thing a lot of people are going through right now, given the situation. And it's a really kind of touching, homing feel. So we thought, well, why don't we take this time where money is short and use our resources?
That's awesome.
Local people.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's what I love about what you're doing. It's local, it's interesting, it's how can you not support local in these times that we're living in right now? And that brings me to my next question. How has the pandemic affected the theater?
It's been rough. I'll be honest. It's been rough. Funny enough, I took over the position of executive director. I was actually working for Matthias Food Service as a project manager up until December of 2019. In 2020, January, I took over as the executive director. I had been president of the board, which is a non-paid position, but I transitioned when we lost our office manager, who was a great guy. And I became the executive director of the theater. Little did I know what was going to happen. It has been an interesting year. We have been very lucky to have city support, county support, grants. That is not COVID cough. The payroll protection program, a lot of these things that have come out of the CARES Act and other stuff, we have been very lucky to have that. We actually have had a lot of donors who have been very good to put up money. Romac is one of those. Anybody who needs to get wood supplies or any building supplies, go to Romac. Trust me, Dan Roebuck is a very good guy. And we've been lucky. However, it's getting a little scary, I'll be honest. We're looking at, we still have overhead. You know, when you look at basic electricity, payroll, just insurance of the building, our printing, but you can see this big printer over here, the things that we have, I'll be honest, you know, if I want to level with prices, you know, we've got $5,000 or so a month in overhead. That's not producing a play. That's not what it costs to put on a musical or a play. And all of the building of the set, the costumes, all of that type of thing. So we're nervous, but I also choose to look on the bright side and say we're better off than many. We've had a lot in the local area that have closed down. We haven't. And we were frugal before this. We're trying to be frugal now. So we're okay. But I will say, anybody who's out there watching this, if you have a few extra dollars, which most of us don't right now, a nice little check to the Melon Patch would be good, because I do think the arts are important. But it is a scary time. I think it's a scary time for everybody.
Sure. And
by the way, here real quick, because he's up in my lap, you got to see, he's actually going to make his debut in the next play coming up called It's Only a Play.
Wow, that's awesome.
I won't tell you what he gets to do, but he's playing Torch, and this is Bugsy. Bugsy's
Bugsy.
often at the office with me if you ever want to come and say hi to him.
Hey, Bugsy.
And yeah, oh, there he goes. He's licking now. But again, we try here to be a family orientation, type thing. And well, my dog is oftentimes here with me. I've had him since he was a puppy, and he's still now only about 11 months old. So he's a little crazy, but he will be in the next play.
That's awesome. That's great. Now, speaking of plays, tell me when the next couple are, and tell me how people can get tickets and get involved.
All right. Well, the next show it's only a play. This is basically it's the opening night on a Broadway show, which is kind of happy, sad, given the fact that Broadway is still closed right now. But the idea is that these guys are all at this after party and they're waiting on the reviews, which can make or break any show. Honestly, any reviewer could kill a Broadway show within a night or two if they don't like it. And so these people are all, it's kind of a behind the scenes funny look at how theater people behave when they're waiting to see if their show is actually going to make it to be one of those that you mentioned before, those big name shows. And I won't tell you what happens with this one, but it's got a lot of pop culture references, funny stuff. It's actually got some touching moments too, especially considering that Broadway is closed now. And that opens March 12th. I am in that. But there is no footage, so Mike can't show you that yet because we're just in rehearsal process. But I'm doing that one, and my mother is the president, and she's directing it. And we've got a stellar cast. Actually, one of my favorites is David Clevenger, who used to work with Ice House, one of the biggest theaters here in the area, and he is probably the best set designer and director I've ever met. He's actually on stage for the first time in about 20 to 30 years. He hasn't acted in a while, but he came over here after retiring from there, and he's having some fun with us. So we're doing that one March 12th through the 28th. And then after that, in May, is the next actual, what we call main stage show. And that's called Play It Again, Sam, which is based on Humphrey Bogart. It was Woody Allen's first play he did. It also turned into a movie. And it's this whole idea that this guy is really bad with dating, and he imagines Humphrey Bogart, who is his idol, teaching him how to date women. And as a more modern perspective, it's even funnier because, well, Humphrey Bogart has a very old standard of how you get women. So there's the extra, I don't think it was as funny back in the 80s when it was written, but now is like, wow, you don't say that to a woman. That's not the best thing to do. So that extra bonus. And that will go through, I don't have the exact dates, but it's early May. For all information, here you are. You can visit melonpatchplayers.org, which we sell tickets on. You can click on each show to see what it's about. And then when you go in there, you can actually go through our new partner, which is Audience View, and you can purchase a ticket right there, or you can call the box office at 352-787-3013. So multiple ways of doing it. We're trying to get everybody out there. And like I said, we're really trying to work with people. If you maybe can't afford to see a show, give a call. I'd rather have somebody here and filling the seats and get you to introduce into theater than say, hey, we have an empty theater. So
that's awesome.
And with COVID, we are taking precautions, masks, distancing of seatings, which means we're down from, we used to have 209 seats.
Yeah.
That we had available. We weren't happy if we didn't have about 150 each night. Right. At this point, I'll be real. We're happy with 40 to 50 because we're not sure who's coming out. And then on top of that, we can really only seat about 80, given the distancing and all that, to make sure everybody's coming.
Sure. Well, that's a great opportunity. It's an intimate setting that way. Awesome. Dustin, it's been wonderful having you. I really appreciate everything you're doing in the community, and keep the Melon Patch going strong, and I'm sure we'll talk again.
I hope so.